Welcome or welcome back to my little creative corner of the internet. And welcome to our first 31 days of the Daily Doodle Diary for 2025. Let's dive into this art challenge process and this video where I share with you 10 of my learnings and tips for building a drawing habit. So let's dive into day number 1 of January 1st of 2025. You might recognize this little face portrait I did here because it was in the full process included in my starting video for the Daily Doodle Diary. I will leave a link in the description down below as well to the start video of the Daily Doodle Diary where I explain all of the challenge as a whole as well. I got inspired by Chantel Arts to take part in the Daily Doodle Diary challenge for this new year, which is a daily drawing challenge where you create art in a planner each day of the year. So let's dive into the first 30 days for January and the doodles I created. I will share with you all of the 10 ideas, tips, experience I made throughout this first month. I'm really happy with how the challenge is going so far, and I can't wait to keep that going and also share with you the whole process throughout the year as well as my learnings from this challenge. So here for day number 2 of January I did decide to draw a little coffee cup, and as you see here sometimes I included my phone to have like a watch to see how long it takes me to draw those little doodles, and like you see here it's not that much of time that goes into the challenge on a daily basis, so that I like to keep the drawings and illustrations quite simple for myself to not overwhelm myself to do a super elaborate drawing each day. It's more about showing up and creating something on the daily basis than to make every single sketch an absolute masterpiece. Tip number 1, keep it simple. And the second thing that was my big worry about starting this challenge was that I was worried that it would limit my motivation to draw as a complete and that I wouldn't be able to fill any sketchbooks throughout 2025 in a way. But to be quite honest, the absolute opposite was the outcome for now. I did draw way more than I did in the last few years by making it the daily habit, because so often I just wanted to draw something more after completing this little doodle and sketch for the day. So I did get out my sketchbook afterwards and did complete something in there as well. Or I even, just by making it a daily habit to draw something, I did get out my sketchbook on a different time of the day as well, just as getting the daily reminder that I enjoy sketching and drawing in a way really helped me to create more once I started. Make creativity a habit, I guess. It will spark your creativity even more. Another big thing, I guess, that will help you with this kind of daily drawing challenge, especially if you go for such a long one as the Daily Doodle Diary, which runs for a year, that is to have a big why are you doing the challenge. Ask yourself, what is your goal with the challenge or with the established habit of drawing daily, and maybe write it down in the beginning of your sketchbook or your art book or wherever you are drawing, so that you can remind yourself to go back there. Now on to day number 5 of our January Daily Doodle Diary. Here I did decide to draw another coffee cup. I feel like I did repeat quite a few motifs, so you will see a bunch of faces throughout this January, as well as a few coffee cups, as I already said in my February sketchbook challenge video. Those are 2 motifs I'm really good at drawing, and I'm quite comfortable, so it's my go-to motifs to draw in a way. On the one hand, I would absolutely recommend to repeat motifs when drawing and wanting to improve your drawing, because the repetitiveness of drawing something over and over and over again makes you learn so much more about the motif in a way. But also, on the other hand, make yourself the habit to use some reference when drawing to improve your art styles. Having to look at a reference for your drawing is a super helpful thing when you study and want to improve your art in a way. It also helps with not having the same face syndrome in a way, so I would highly recommend to maybe build a folder with different reference images or things you found that you took a photo of that you think are interesting to study in a little doodle or drawing. Another big tip for me would to change it up, like I did here with the medium. Use different mediums to not get bored, which is also a big part when you have such a long running challenge like this going. Make sure you switch it up from time to time and do something that will excite you about the challenge and the little drawing you're doing on a daily basis. And here for me that was to use the paint markers in the little drawings of the flower pot and the coffee mug as well. And I think it turned out so cute with the little pops of color here. Definitely would highly recommend to switch up your mediums from time to time. And here comes a little bit of a classic for me. I just always have drawn big eyes and something on pages in my sketchbooks forever and ever, and on my school notes. So when in doubt, stick to something that you are good at drawing and that you know very well. Or if you want to study something new, make sure to grab yourself a reference. Don't make it too hard on yourself by wanting to draw something out of your imagination that you don't really have drawn a lot of. I feel like sometimes we want to do something completely from imagination, but it's the fastest thing to make yourself frustrated about the process. And I feel like with a big art challenge like this, it's very important to just keep the creativity flowing in a way and experiment with different kind of things, as well as to stick with the things you know you're good at. And there is no need to draw something different each day. I also have seen beautiful sketchbooks from artists who draw the kind of same scene or motif for a complete year. Like I don't know the name again. If I remember it, I will leave it down below in the description. There's an amazing artist who always draws her morning cup of coffee for completed sketchbooks over years, and it's so absolutely interesting to watch those sketchbooks to see how the little drawings of the same scene in a way change over time and how she improves and changes her art style. If you don't know what to draw in your doodle diary, maybe do a month of one motif and see where it takes you. How much can you improve with the same motif in a month, or maybe a week or something? Maybe I will do that in an upcoming week. now let's get on to day number 8 of January, and I did again do a little portrait, but I wanted to switch it up to make it a bit different in a way. So you will see me create something like a drop, like the face is melting in a way. Experiment with the things that you are already drawing on a more daily basis, or just let your imagination run wild. Even though reference pictures can be super helpful when drawing, there's also no need to have a reference picture for everything. You can also get abstract and crazy and do something completely wild from your imagination. There is nobody policing your sketchbook or your sketches or your doodle diary, so do whatever comes to mind and what works for you on that very day. The next tip for when you don't know what to draw on a daily basis, I would highly recommend just to draw something related to that day or the day before. So maybe if you go throughout your day, you could just have an eye open for what could be interesting to draw in the doodle diary the next day and just snap a quick picture on your smartphone to have it as a reference for you to draw, so that you don't fall into the trap that I did here quite a lot in January, where I'm always drawing heads and portraits and coffee cups in a way. My motifs are getting quite a bit repetitive, but I at least try to change things up here with giving the portrait a different kind of hairstyle. It's a bit different, but also the same in a way. It's just the one thing I'm very, very comfortable with, and so when in doubt, I always will fall back to drawing a face, I guess. If you don't want to draw the same thing every day and want to get rid of the same face syndrome in a way when you draw from your mind all the time, make sure you collect some references to switch things up. Also, I have a little Pinterest board that I collect some ideas for drawing prompts and things to draw in the future in the Daily Doodle Diary, as well as a little prompt list. So I would highly recommend to kind of collect some ideas when they come to mind, so that you don't have to come up with new ideas on a daily basis when you sit down to draw. Another big tip for tackling such a big challenge like the Doodle Diary is to dedicate a time and a place for your drawing practices. For me, it's the mornings. That's why the light in a way is also changing quite a lot throughout the video, as it's different kind of hours depending on which time I did get up on that specific day. For me, the mornings just makes sense the most, but sometimes maybe for you it's a different time of day that makes more sense if you're very busy in the mornings. I just try to establish the habit for myself to get up like half an hour earlier than I normally would and dedicate this half an hour to creating the doodle for the day and filling up the Daily Doodle Diary. Here I did fall a bit behind on the 11th and 12th of January, so that's why I did decide to just sit down on the 12th of January and fill up the completed spread from the 11th and the 12th in one go. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you miss one day, you can absolutely catch up. Or I would also say, like the inventor of the Daily Doodle Diary did, they just skipped the pages where they had no time to draw, and then they looked back at the end of the year and did compare how many days they were able to fill and how many days they skipped in a way. I think that's also a very interesting way to see how such a challenge is going. So if you don't have the time to play catch up, or you don't want to play catch up all the time, just skip that day that was too busy and just make it a learning curve for yourself to see maybe on what days it was difficult and how many days of the challenge you might be able to complete. Also, I would highly recommend to maybe not start with a yearly drawing challenge. If you want to, I highly encourage everyone to do so. Join us in the Daily Doodle Diary challenge. I would absolutely love to see your creations. But if you are new to drawing or doodling and you are new to keeping a sketchbook, maybe do one of the monthly sketchbook challenge and prompt challenges like Inktober or Mermaid or something, to like dip your toe in the art challenge world before overwhelming yourself with a yearly challenge like the Daily Doodle Diary. Now let's get on to day number 13. And here I decided to draw a more concept kind of style with this butterfly. I don't really like how this butterfly turned out, but it's fine. I guess it's just a quick little doodle. And also that's something I have to remind myself to keep in mind, that this Daily Doodle Diary can't be the perfect sketchbook in a way. It's not, the paper isn't made for that, and it's lined paper and everything. I would absolutely love to get one of these diaries without the lines, but I have seen them on the internet, like on Pinterest. I've seen pictures of those without the lines, but I couldn't find it anywhere to buy it. But I really want to look into that for next year, if we are completing the challenge enough that I feel like it would be fun to try again. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's still the middle of January, so just let's go on with the daily doodle for day 14. And here I decided to just switch things up again and use some different mediums for the drawing. So that's also a fun way to make things different. And I absolutely love to use the Artex paint markers in the Daily Doodle Diary. Also, the paper of the moleskin is holding up quite well with the paint markers. It's not super ghosty, so I'm fine with how this turned out. And I'm quite happy that it takes the medium as well as it does. I didn't really expect it to go as well. Now let's go on to the next day, which is day 15 of January, and I did decide to draw another portrait drawing, but change things up with the hair this time and try my hand on some curly hair styles. I don't know how I like the outcome of this one, but it was fun to at least try it. How are you guys all doing? Are you taking part in the Daily Doodle Diary? If you do so, let me know in the comments down below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Now let's go on to day 16 of our January daily drawing challenge, and let's draw another little portrait. I just was in the hang of things, and it's just, like I said, something I'm really comfortable with drawing, and when in doubt and I don't have any ideas or I don't have time for something super elaborate and new, I just go with a portrait to keep it simple in a way. And I feel like I'm myself quite satisfied with the outcome of those, even though none of them are perfect in a way. But I feel like it's interesting to see the different kind of ways a face can look depending on the hairstyle, the face shape and everything. So it's kind of fun to see how different they turn out. In the beginning I also just thought about for a moment if I wanted to do like 365 days of faces, but then I thought it might get too boring after a while, so that's why I did decide to not set myself another limitation in the drawing challenge in a way. But it also could be very, very interesting to see how another limitation like this, or only drawing like faces or only drawing like your morning cup of coffee, like I talked about a bit earlier, could be another really fun thing to see how 1 year can change up the way you look at something that is quite similar in a way, and how you draw it can change up. So maybe that could be something we do in the future if we repeat the challenge. I don't know. I'm really, really enjoying the challenge so far, and it's super, super fun, and I'm so happy looking on the progress I have made throughout 2025 in the Daily Doodle Diary so far. So for now, I would absolutely highly recommend everyone to try this challenge who wants to draw more or make drawing a daily habit, or also want to start drawing. Like I already said, there's no need to make every page a masterpiece, but building the cohesive habit of picking up your pen and your sketchbook on a daily basis is so good to develop your art skills and your artistic abilities. When I was drawing to get into art school, I also did create a daily habit of it, and for me, I also have noticed in my own art that in the times when I did draw on a more daily basis, when I was in art school, and the times before that when I prepped to go to art school, I was so much better at drawing that I really want to get back into that. So I would highly recommend to build a daily doodle or drawing habit if you want to hone the skill of drawing. It doesn't have to be something super elaborate, like you see this pages here from day 17 and day 18 of January. It's just a super simple cup of coffee again and some eyes. So It just has to be something. Putting pen to paper on a daily basis is just so helpful when building such a habit. Or even if you want to build a different kind of creative habit, doing it daily, even if it's just for 10 to 15 minutes, makes so much progress. So I would highly recommend pick up your craft or your sketchbook and get into it. And everybody has 15 minutes somewhere in the day. If it's waiting for the bus to come or on your bus ride home, yeah, maybe drawing is a bit difficult when riding the bus, but it can be interesting to use it as a challenge to see where it will take you if you try to draw something while the vehicle is moving. But maybe for that it's a different kind of thing. Here I also, just for January, I did do it, like I said, mostly in the mornings to also have the ability to film it. And for me, it's the perfect new little morning habit to not start the day out on my phone, scrolling endlessly, but instead building the habit of drawing something as early as I can and then starting my day afterwards. It feels like a little win for myself and my creative skills and my art practice in a way. So I would highly recommend to try to find the perfect time for yourself to implement this new habit of yours. So maybe it is the morning like it is for me, or maybe it also could be the last thing you do in the day before winding down for bed. Just experiment, see what works best for you. Here I'm drawing a little king, kind of, and just that's something that I just came up with on the spot. So I just sometimes also move the pen on paper and just see where this will take me. Now on to the 20th of January. Can't believe we're already so far into the months and so far into the video. I hope you're still going strong. Shout out to everyone who's still watching and listening. Thanks so much. And here I did do another kind of version of the dripping down face and tried to just experiment in a different way with the distorted face and the head that is melting away. Now on to day 23 of January. I don't know why I skipped filming for the 21st and the 22nd of January, but I did draw something those days, but I didn't film it. I guess it was a bit late, maybe that was one of the days where I didn't film it in the start of the day, and then there was not enough light to get some good footage, and that's why I decided to not film it. It will be interesting to see how much of the process I will be able to film, but I try to film as much as possible and maybe give you some weekly updates on the Doodle Diary and see how it comes along. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see weekly updates or if you prefer those monthly longer ones. Here I just decided to do a little floating head and then having a bunch of different heads floating around the face as well. So I just try to at least switch things up with drawing faces all the time and just make it interesting in a way. Now on to the 24th of January, and let's see what we will create on that day. Oh, it's another coffee cup. Yeah, like I said, it's one of the things that I feel like is the most difficult part about the challenge, is coming up with something new to draw and doodle all the time. So I'm really looking forward to just change things up a bit throughout the year and hopefully getting myself to branch out of my comfort zone a bit more. But I think this will also be something the daily doodling habit will help with, so I can just experiment more, hopefully in the upcoming months, with different kind of drawings and see where the habit will take me. Hopefully I can change things up a bit here and there. Now let's get on to day 25 of January. Also, what you see me here doing is taking some paper and put it between the pages so that I won't make markings through the pages. Like, I don't know, it's not ghosting, it's maybe it's a different kind of ghosting. If you draw with pencil all the time and then you draw on the page after that, and the pencil from the pages behind that drop onto one of the other pages. I really hate that, and there the pages in between help, so that's why I'm always stucking in those little bits and pieces of paper here and there. Here is another face, but this time I made it super big. I'm not really happy with how this eye turned out in a way, but I did decide to just let it go. And that's also something the daily habit of drawing really helped me with, is to kind of put the perfectionism a bit to rest and say, like, you can't make every single piece of art you do for the Daily Doodle Diary a super masterpiece, and then I would be here forever. And that's not something that is sustainable in my day-to-day life, so I have to just come up with something, do a little doodle and remind myself it's just a sketch, and if I come up with a concept or something I really like, I can always go back and make it more elaborate in a sketchbook spread or something. I'm really trying to focus on the doodle aspect of the Daily Doodle Diary in a way, or just remind me from time to time that not every piece of art here has to be a super elaborate masterpiece in a way. So here I don't know, had a rough mixed up day and decided to just document that. So that's another tip of mine. I would absolutely highly recommend to just relate what you are drawing to how your day was, or how the day before that was. Like I said before, hold up an eye for something you could draw the next day in your doodle diary and maybe take a picture of that, or just make a mental note like, oh, that is something I felt, seen, did that day that I want to include into the Daily Doodle Diary. Now on to day 27th of January. Can't believe we're already so close at this finish line. I hope you enjoy this long form video in a way. And here I just did some super easy flower doodles with some fine liner to change things up and use a different medium in a way. And also, flowers are just so easy and I feel like you can't do anything wrong with them. Why make them pencil in a way? I feel like they kind of look better with the fine liner. Now on to day 28th of January, and here I did do another face. Who had guessed it? Yeah, I definitely have to see if I can maybe do some more different things throughout this year, or else I think I will get bored. But it will be very interesting. I will definitely, in the end, when we look back on the completed year, let's do a little count of all the faces and the coffee cups I have drawn in the 365 days. Who wants to guess how many they are? Let me know in the comments down below. I guess maybe 200 faces out of the 365? Or maybe, no, 150. 150 is my guess for faces. And maybe 20 coffee cups. Let's see. Hopefully I will remember that I did take a guess here in the beginning, and we can look back at the end of the year to see if this estimate came true in a way. If you have any ideas what I could draw in the Daily Doodle Diary, let me know in the comments down below. I would absolutely love to hear some ideas and recommendations, and I guess we can make our comment section a bit of a prompt list for everyone who's taking part or wants to get some inspiration for drawing, even if it's just for your sketchbook or anything. Here it's another coffee cup. Who might have guessed it, but I'm quite happy with this one in a way, even it's just a rough sketch, but it is some kind of different concept in a way, so I really like that. So I did kind of try to make the steam the little cloud that is then raining down the coffee in a way, and I really like how this concept is, and maybe that's something I could come back to and draw again somewhere in the future. So now let's get on to day number 30 of January. Nearly our final day. So now here's another really simple tip. If you don't have the time like I had here and just want to fill up something quick, grab a big paint marker and do some random doodles. That's also completely valid for a daily doodle diary or just the daily drawing habit. Do the amount of effort that is feasible on that very day. Don't set your expectation for yourself too high that you are failing from the start. Also allow yourself to take little breaks, or on days that are more busy, to just make something super quick and simple like I did here. Now on to our final day for the Daily Doodle Diary of January. Can't believe we did stick through the first months of the Daily Doodle Diary and I was able to film all of them. And like I said, just to keep myself comfortable, I just did decide to do another portrait drawing for the 31st. If you are still here, thanks so much for sticking through with the video. Leave a little coffee cup if you made it until here in the video, so that I know you are one of the real ones. I'm really happy with how this challenge is going so far, and I can't wait to stick through it and share with you all my different tips and learning throughout this year. If you have any prompt recommendations or questions, leave them down in the comments down below and I will hopefully get to a bunch of them in the upcoming new Daily Doodle Diary videos. Now let's flip through our first months of January in the new little doodle diary. I'm so happy with how this came together, and I feel like all these spreads work so well together, even though sometimes they are completely unrelated, but in a way it just, I don't know, makes sense for myself. I'm really happy with how this challenge is going. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, a thumbs up would make me really happy. And if you want to join me on this creative adventure and many more creative adventures to come, hit the subscribe button down below. See you very soon. Happy creating!